This is the Entrepreneur on Campus podcast. Let's go. On each episode, we talk about a new industry or market, including the entrepreneurial opportunities, the pains, and the surprises of that industry. Listen, the business world is so broad, and we are here to dissect all of the different ways that entrepreneurs make money.
Software, you make it one time and sell it 1,000 times.
E-com spaces, man, those things sell for like an 8x multiple. It's ridiculous.
Three main ways that we make money, and the primary one is actually ad sales.
The goal is usually to exit within 3 to 7 years.
I'm your host, Matthew Brown, and I've created this podcast to help you discover hidden opportunities. Thank you for tuning in, and here is today's episode. Welcome to another episode of the Entrepreneur on Campus podcast. I'm super excited to be here today with Spencer Barclay. Spencer, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited to be here too.
So Spencer has had some really cool experiences, and I'm going to read his bio so you guys can get an idea of who he is and what he's done. So Spencer Barclay, he's the founder and CEO of Savology. His vision with the company is to improve the financial security of millions of American households by providing personalized financial plans for free. Spencer is a serial entrepreneur that has built and helped build startup ventures covering other areas of personal finance and financial services, such as credit, estate planning, investing, financial wellness, and retirement planning. Most recently, he was COO at Benefit Guard, a venture-backed 401k provider for small businesses, where he helped develop and sell the company in a multi-million-dollar deal to Health Equity. Spencer earned his MBA from Westminster College, where he also completed a bachelor's degree in economics. He met his wife there, and now they live in Lehi, Utah, with their 2 children. He's passionate about personal finance, economics, politics, and football. Awesome. So that's a little bit about Spencer. And Spencer, so I'd love to know, what has your career path looked like? Did you go to college, and then from there, how have you gotten to where you are today?
It's all over the place, really. I originally had the aspirations of becoming a lawyer. From the time I was about 5, I thought that was the career path for me, and I think that everyone in my life reinforced that. But in the process of going to college at Westminster and studying some business and economics, I realized that I had a stronger passion for business than I did for the law. So I started to make slow pivots in my career path to thinking that I just wanted to go own a law firm rather than be a practicing attorney. So that made me start some small businesses while I was in college, and some of which did well, some of which didn't do well. But I learned a lot through that process, and that made me decide to do an MBA rather than a traditional JD, and then to apply that.
What is a JD?
A JD is the degree required to be a lawyer.
Okay.
So a Juris Doctorate.
Gotcha.
It sounds about as boring as it is.
Fair enough.
So after, while I was doing my MBA, I had the opportunity to join Benefit Guard, recruited there to help run the company. And that's where I discovered an even stronger passion for entrepreneurship and personal finance in general. So just worked with Benefit Guard for a few years. We sold them to Health Equity. And after an 18-month acquisition buyout period, I said I need to go back out and do something again to affect the personal finance space. At
Benefit Guard, you were the COO. What kind of operations were you doing?
Yeah, so Benefit Guard provided 401k plans for small businesses. We were kind of an innovative solution to reduce the cost, risk, and work that a normal small business would have with sponsoring a 401k plan. We're trying to increase the adoption of 401k plans with small businesses. So my role covered everything from servicing the partners that resold our solution, things like financial advisors, to managing the vendors that we use to fulfill our solutions, things like 401k record keepers and third-party administrators, and then also handling the customer service and the employer service. So I had finance under my umbrella, the customer service divisions under my umbrella, and then we shared marketing and strategy between the other half of the organization.
Yeah. And how did you get involved with Benefit Guard?
Yeah, so while I was still doing my MBA, I got recruited by the CEO. His name was Matt Bradley. Benefit Guard has a unique story because it was conceived in a venture capital firm. Rather than an entrepreneur going to a venture capital firm to say we need capital, the venture capital firm came up with the idea of what they wanted to do, and then they hired a few people to bring that vision to fruition. And
wow,
so
interesting.
Aaron Gabbert was the first CEO, replaced by Matt Bradley, and then Matt Bradley brought me in to develop some initial traction and really launch the startup.
So was the owner the VC firm or the people that they hired?
So a little bit of both, right?
Yeah.
The VC firm can't take it all if they expect to get the right group, but the VC firm did own a large share of it and then split it with the managers that came in to help run it.
Very cool. And you mentioned that while you were in college, you experimented with some small businesses. Can you elaborate a little bit on that?
Sure. So there were 4 ventures that I can think of specifically. The first one was called Credit Repair Plus. We decided that we wanted to help individuals repair their credit and had a little bit of experience in credit. So got together with 2 business partners and started a small firm to help people get on the right track with their credit. We ran that for about a year and a half, saw a little bit of success with it, ended up divesting it, just getting rid of the clients to another credit repair company since we knew that wasn't where we wanted to be in the long run, but learned a lot in the process of doing that.
Cool.
So that was the first one. Another one was called Executive Consulting. I decided, hey, I learned a lot of things in here, and I'm learning a lot of things in college. Why don't I go try to apply some of that to other small businesses in the community? So I went out to small businesses, got a few consulting gigs where I could help them develop strategies, develop mission, vision, values, incorporate it through their organization, find new marketing plans and distribution channels. I did that for about a year and a half as well. Really liked the experience there, but knew it wasn't going to be a large business. Yeah. And so moved on from that one.
So I'm curious, did you go up to these small businesses and say, hey, this is what I do, and then you what did you offer something very specific with your consulting, or?
Yeah, so part of it was at first leveraging my own network, right? They weren't really cold calling on businesses, but finding people that I knew that I figured I could help in industries that I was relatively familiar with, and then went to them and said, hey, look, you might not benefit from a traditional large consulting firm that wants to come in and spend weeks studying you, but you could benefit from some basic strategy. So why don't we do a test program where I will show you the value that we can provide, and then you can decide if that initial value is enough to do a longer-term engagement. Yeah. So we did a few of those up front, and all of those ended up doing longer-term engagements after starting it.
Cool. I think that consulting is something that people can get into if they're an expert at something, right? And so maybe there's some listeners here that are really good at some specific skill, and they're interested in starting some consulting. Do you have any recommendations on how to go and kind of sell your service, maybe pricing, for somebody who's interested in doing some consulting to make some money in college?
Yeah, the first one would just be finding your own value proposition, right? What are you as a consultant going to be offering, and to whom are you offering it? If you can identify those 2 things, you can find somewhere to sell your services. So for me, it was finding small business owners who were passionate about what they did, but weren't necessarily good at business. And those are very prevalent. I would say the majority of small business owners probably find themselves in that, where they like what they're doing, but they aren't sure how to do it. So they often get lost in the weeds, right? They're managing the shop that they run, or they're busy cleaning, and that's not necessarily what that entrepreneur should be doing. And so mine was about changing their mindset, because I had experienced it to just a small degree before, and it's easier for an outsider to come in and say what should happen, and then you just have to help them do it. So as soon as you identify that value proposition and who you're selling it to, do one for free. Get a case study behind your belt, and then take that case study to your next few that you can show them, this is an example of what we did and how we did it and the impact of it, and we want to do this for you too.
Yeah, very cool. Going back really quickly to the first one that you said you had, is credit repair. What exactly is credit repair?
Yeah, so credit repair would be someone who hasn't made the best financial decisions, usually ends up hurting their credit, right? Yeah. Let's say they didn't pay back a debt, and that debt gets charged off. That's a ding on their credit report for several years. And so credit repair helps identify the areas of opportunity in their credit report to challenge them with the 3 main credit bureaus. And when you challenge them, if the credit bureaus can't prove that those things happened, or if they were in any way inaccurate, then they have to remove them. And so when you start removing negative items from a credit report, it improves the credit score.
Credit score goes up.
Yeah, so it's about finding inaccuracies or issues with the credit report to help people get back on their feet and recover from it.
And were you finding some of these clients, were you finding them online, or? Yeah,
almost exclusively online.
Yeah, just through Google ads and stuff like that?
Yeah, we actually started with a few local people so we could test out the technology that we were using. But after that, we built a very basic website. We bought a little bit of advertising for it. In that day, 2011, SEO was a lot easier. We got on page one of Bing in a matter of days.
A lot cheaper too.
And so we got some indirect traffic through that. And I wouldn't say it was wildly successful, but enough that we could really test out. I learned a lot about operations through there. I learned a little bit about marketing and about design. I built the original HTML website, and I'm not a coder. I can't do those things now, but back then it was a little bit easier. Yeah.
And so what was the third one that you did?
Yeah. So after that, did one called the Executive Marketing Group. Elite Marketing Group. So what we did with Elite Marketing Group was we found people that wanted to start businesses, and then we helped them set up affiliate marketing websites or eBay businesses. Basically, someone who wants to make money online but doesn't know how to do it. Did that for about a year, right? Found half a dozen people and helped them start small businesses just to create some passive side income. And I learned a lot in that process as well, right? The very first one that we were helping to set up was the first time that I had created an affiliate marketing website. And so we kind of learned together, which is why we didn't charge them for the first one. And then after that, we were able to charge and duplicate for future ones.
So you're helping your clients start affiliate marketing campaigns, basically.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, affiliate marketing or eBay businesses. We had a couple that were in eBay, finding things to sell through drop shipping, things like that.
Cool. And then the last one, fourth one?
Yeah, so the fourth one, it wasn't necessarily my own venture, but we had a local attorney who came out of law school and wanted to start a new firm. And he wanted to start it in the estate planning space. And so I helped him start the firm, joined him just a couple months out of law school, and we built the firm from the ground up. So it was called Haslam Law, and it rebranded to Voyant Legal. And so I was the director of client services with him, where we set up all the processes to create our wills, our trusts, our guardian nomination packages, to do our marketing and distribution, to do trade shows and conferences, and did that for about a year and a half as well, knowing that I was planning on going to law school at the time after finishing the MBA, decided to change that, and that's when I got recruited at Benefit Guard.
Cool. Very cool. So did you, have you always been very entrepreneurial minded in high school? And just growing up, do you feel like that came from your family, or is that something that just kind of started in college?
I do feel like I grew up in a family that was conducive to entrepreneurship. My dad, his background is in ornamental horticulture, which is plants, right? So he grew up in a family of farmers in Idaho. He decided to leave the traditional farming industry, but wanted to stay with what he knew. So he went to college to learn more about nurseries, let's say plant nurseries. Worked in that space for a few years and then decided to start his own. So when I was about 8 or 9, I watched the process of him starting his own business. And it was a plant nursery, so it was familiar with what he did. But nonetheless, I saw things like them incorporating, them creating their first logo, putting an office in the basement, talking about the lines of credit that they needed at the bank and going to buy their first property. So I wasn't firsthand involved in each of those, but I saw them. And that probably instilled a seed in me that I could then access later. And so I didn't do anything with entrepreneurship originally. I did some other small ventures like in investing. I started investing in the stock market when I was about 16. We did some real estate investing as well. My mom encouraged us as kids to get together and band up and buy properties together. And that was a neat experience, and I learned a lot from it as well.
You did that with your siblings?
With my siblings, yeah. And which were 4 years older than me, 2 years older than me, and 2 years younger than me. So between all of us, we got together to get 2 different rental properties.
Still own those today?
No, we don't. Got out of it when I went on my LDS mission. What happened to be the perfect time to leave. I went in 2008, and the stock market and the real estate market were going down. So we got out of those mostly before the market went down, which ended up being a blessing for us. So I think those were entrepreneurial endeavors, but I hadn't planned on being an entrepreneur. But it at least made me see that it was possible to do things on my own, and I didn't need to rely on a traditional 9-to-5 job to make money if we needed to. So after the mission, at least I had that seed to build on.
Yeah, very cool. So you sold Benefit Guard, and then from there, did you have a period of time where you weren't doing anything before you started Savology, or is this an idea that you already had?
So it was a period of time where I was doing something. I was contractually bound to stay with Benefit Guard through the acquisition for an 18-month period in order to receive the full buyout of Benefit Guard. And so I stayed on with Health Equity as their VP of operations. We basically implemented the 401k division within Health Equity, which is a much larger company. And one of the things that I learned through that process was that traditional large organizations aren't meant for me. Right, I like having some of the freedom and flexibility, some of the control and decision-making power that comes with a startup or with entrepreneurship. So I did ride out that 18-month period and then decided to do this after that. Right, through that whole period, I looked back and said, what's going to be my next venture? And I looked at the market and said, look, I've been involved in credit, I've done real estate, I've done some investing, retirement planning, etc. And the underlying theme of all those is that millennials need help with their finances, and there's a big opportunity to be able to help them. And so I left Health Equity not knowing exactly the business that I was going to do, but the problem that I was going to solve.
Very cool. And so what exactly is Savology?
So Savology is a newer company that is built to provide free financial plans. Beginning of this year. We started March 2019. Yeah. So first couple of months, January to March, we're about ideating, figuring out what we wanted to do. We knew we were solving the problem of finances for millennials, didn't know how. We came up with the idea through our market research over time that free financial plans were a way to help millennials get on the right track. So now our software, it's currently a web application, but it is built for free financial plans for millennials. We give them a comprehensive financial plan, a report card, and personalized action items to improve. We do that for them for free. And in return, we make recommendations about providers they can use, and that's how we make money, is the providers will pay us for recommendations when we send them business.
So Savology.com, is that what it is?
That's it.
So you spent a couple months doing market research. What did that entail? Were you just going and asking a lot of people questions, or?
We did ask a lot of people questions. So I had started out with a rough idea of how I might want to approach the space. We thought maybe micro savings, where we could help people set goals and optimize goals and save towards those goals. And so the initial market research was geared towards proving out that concept. And we actually more disproved the concept. So we first did a lot of in-person interviews. I probably did 40 in-person interviews over the course of a month. And then we did Google surveys. So you can pay to do Google surveys, get it out to anywhere from 100 to 1,000 people for relatively cheap. And so we asked them all the right questions and found micro savings might not be the best place for us. Yeah. It's a competitive environment, and I do think it's a cool solution, but there was something easier and better out there to be uncovered. And so those Google surveys and in-person interviews, we call them problem and solution interviews.
Yep.
We use those to uncover the new solution.
Cool. How do you use Google surveys, and how much does it cost?
So Google surveys are really easy. You go online to Google. I think it's surveys.google.com. You set up an account. You program in there what type of questions you want to ask. If you're familiar with Google Forms, it's kind of similar to that, right? You're asking some validation questions, either yes, no, or multiple choice. The difference is Google Forms, which we did use a little bit, you have to get your own people to respond.
Yep.
Google Surveys, you pay them anywhere from 10 cents to maybe $1.50 per answer, depending on how many questions you're asking and to what level you're targeting a specific demographic. So I think we ended up paying around $1 per response. So spent maybe $1,000 or $1,500 to get some responses that we needed to answer 10 different questions a couple different times.
Gotcha. Very cool. Sounds like an awesome tool. So you guys are in the financial industry. You're trying to help millennials basically have financial plans. And so I'm not sure if I completely understand, but you basically let millennials have a free session where they can learn. What is exactly that they learn? They create a financial plan?
Yeah, so it might be easier to understand if we compare it to the traditional financial plan process, right? So if you want a financial plan, you go find a financial planner, you call them up, you set a time, you bring in all your statements to meet with them. You pay somewhere between $500 and $2,500 for him to analyze everything you have going for you and create what might be a 50 or 75-page plan for what you need to do. And that process has been shown to help people, but it's primarily geared towards those who are high income earners because it costs money. There's a big barrier to entry. So what we did is we said, well, we want to make it cheaper ended up being free, and faster. It takes about 5 minutes. So you come to the site, you answer questions on your own personal financial situation, things like, do you have a job? How much money are you earning? How much are you saving? How much do you have in a 401k? What insurances do you have? Things like that. It takes about 5 minutes. When we gather all that information, we personalize a financial plan for you that says, here's where you're doing well. Keep doing that. Here's where you need to improve. And then here are the specific things that you can do next to take your next step in the right direction towards financial security.
And the next steps, is that connecting the user with some kind of financial service provider? Or?
In some cases, yeah. So things like you need an extra $250,000 in life insurance. You also need to be told where to go to get that, right?
Sure.
You can take that recommendation anywhere and get life insurance from your own agent if you want, but we also make industry-leading recommendations for you about the best providers. So things like Ladder Life is one that we would use because they're fast and easy for millennials. It takes 5 minutes to get a policy. Or Policy Genius is the cheapest to do. So that's an example of one where we tell you a provider. Other ones are like increase your savings rate by 2%. Right? You're currently saving $150 per month. We want you to save $175 per month, and then we'll increase it more from there. So in that case, instead of recommending providers for you, we would recommend articles that you can read and resources that can help you, things like budgeting tools that you might go choose or how to do your own budget. So different recommendations require different information for you to be able to fulfill them.
Gotcha. And you said that the way that you guys make money is, can you tell me?
Yeah, based on those providers. So that's kind of an affiliate relationship, right? So we don't make money off all of our recommendations. We're trying to design those recommendations in the interest of the end user, but we have relationships with some of them that they will pay us if the user chooses to go with them.
Gotcha.
So Ladder Life, they cut us a check if someone does an application for life insurance, or Policy Genius, or bank account providers, estate planning.
So it's really almost like an affiliate business where you're saying, hey, these are the best resources according to your specific plans. Here's where you should go. And then those people will pay you for sending them their way, right?
Yep.
And are you trying to do that as well with the resources? So maybe some online coaching or maybe there's just a lot of info products out there, right? And that you could do affiliate commissions with and everything. Is that something that you guys are doing as well?
Yeah, we'll look at expanding those affiliate relationships more than we have it right now. We focused all of the initial traction and direction on developing the financial planning software.
Yeah.
We have some partners integrated in there already, but there are virtually endless opportunities to incorporate additional partners that cover all spectrums of financial services and financial technologies.
And so you guys started this company in March. Right now we are just starting November, and you already have your technology working. Was that like that's quite an achievement? Was that hard to do, or how did that work out for you guys?
Yeah, it was hard to do. I wanted to get it live as soon as possible, and I think I had originally tried to get it live in July or August. But after we made that initial pivot from our market research, we knew that would push us back another couple months. So we teamed up with some investors that helped us then develop the technology and hire the people that we need to build it. We did a public beta starting in September 23rd, I believe, until October 24th when we turned that public beta into an official public launch. And so we've only really been live on the market for about a week, but I've already seen some good traction in new users and acquisition.
Very cool. Are those investors, is that RevRoad that was helping? Yeah,
so we went out and did the traditional process of raising capital, and RevRoad came to us with the best offer that met our needs more than some of the other capital ones. I did have some connections to the venture capital industry from Benefit Guard because we had raised money there. But at the end of the day, RevRoad ended up being the best direction for us. And now we will have to go out in the future to get more traditional capital. But for startup orientation and getting the development we needed and launching, then RevRoad met our needs.
Yeah. So this is a B2C model then, right?
It is. So that's our primary distribution channel, but not our only distribution channel. So we actually figure that customer acquisition can be tough, especially in direct to consumer. And so we have two other programs that we run this through to get users, an employer program and a partner program. So we give this to an employer who can roll it out to their employees. It's free for the employer, free for the employees. The employer then gets a dashboard on how their employees are doing so they know what changes that they can make for their employees. And that replaces some traditional financial wellness companies. And then we also do partners. So like a local bank, they can bring it on and advertise it to their customers as free financial planning, a value that they're providing to their end user. And then the bank gets a better understanding of their customers' behavior in return for us amassing more users.
That's really cool. Great value proposition because it's free, right?
Right.
That's awesome. What would you say are some of the maybe two of the pros and then two of the cons of being in the fintech industry?
So I think they play hand in hand with where we are. So one con is that it is heavily regulated. The financial services area in particular has been around for a long time, and so there are government organizations dealt specifically for regulating financial services.
Yeah. Tons of laws.
Exactly.
You got to be super careful.
You have to know how to navigate them. And so that experience in being involved in financial services for the last few years has really helped that. At the same time, that is because it's heavily regulated, there's a reason why they put those regulations in place. It's because they affect a lot of people. And so that's the alternative pro to that, which is it's a huge and large market. Right? A lot of people that need financial services. So the government is trying to protect those people. So if you find the right way to do business in it, there's a lot of upside there. So the large market would be a pro. And then another con would be very strong competition. It's a very well-established industry, not just the financial service, not just financial technology, but financial services, right? The traditional companies that are providing investments or providing financial planning as it is, they've been around for hundreds of years in some cases. And so with all of that, you have to find a niche that is going to work for you or some level of disruption that you can bring. And so that's the pro for us is that it's saturated with a lot of these big companies, but that also means this antiquated model is ripe for disruption if you find the right one. So I'll put that on the pro side is that there are niches such as free financial planning that don't exist right now. And if you find the right way, you can disrupt an antiquated market.
Cool. I love it. Your primary sales channels so far, so you mentioned there's a couple different programs. Have those been your main sales channels?
Direct-to-consumer is still the main one, and that will be our focus. But we'll use the employer program and the partner program to develop more traction as we go out to fundraise. Okay.
And are you doing that through advertising online as well?
On the direct-to-consumer one, yes. The employer and partner program one, they don't currently have any existing advertising. They're more face-to-face sales.
Yep. Okay. Facebook, Google, is that how you're doing it?
So we wanted to do as much organic marketing as possible, and so we've been focusing on that. We actually just geared up some of our first campaigns on Google AdWords and social media ads to test them out so we can see what the receptivity will be on those. But we're more so doing our own social media, a lot of content marketing. We prepare a lot of articles that we can send out to help people and bring them to the site. And then some influencer marketing, not the traditional paid influencer marketing, but working with influencers to write our articles and help them understand our product so they can get it to their users too.
Okay. And so do you have some other co-founders that are with you, or did you start this by yourself?
I did start it by myself. We don't have another co-founder, but we do have a VP of engineering. He's kind of the number 2 at the company. He leads our development efforts, and I turn to him for a lot of the technology decisions that we make.
Cool. And is this something you see yourself doing in 5-10 years, or is it do you plan on exiting this company eventually? What's your future look like?
Yeah, my goal will be to sell the company. The time frame is dictated a little bit more by the market, right? At Benefit Guard, we were hoping for a 3 to 5 year period, and we happened to get it. In this case, I'd be hoping as well for about a 5-year period where we can grow the company and then find someone to sell it to. Maybe stay on afterwards to help the company grow. But it's not necessarily a lifestyle business that I want to create and run for the rest of my life. And that's because I like the new challenges, which could be entering new markets or developing new companies. So maybe 3 to 5 years when we find an acquisition partner.
Yeah. And you would like to start another company, like you see yourself just starting lots of companies throughout your career.
Yeah, I appreciate the challenge. It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
It's a lot of headache. It can be a big stress in my life. But the challenge of always having something new and fun to do, helping people in a different way is something that I'll probably continue to go back to.
Yeah. Has that been a difficult balance? Do you have a family? What is that like for you?
Yeah, wife and 2 kids. They're super supportive. I think that's one of the first keys to entrepreneurship is finding someone that will support you, not just in the risk, but in the time that it takes and in the lack of stability that you might have from time to time. And so my wife is super supportive in that. And I still make time for them. They're a big priority in my life. Entrepreneurship allows me to be flexible when I need to. I can attend some of their events and activities, but then they also put up with me working at night, right? I might not be at the office on those nights, but I'm at home, and while they might be doing something else, I have to catch up on some things for the day. So more flexibility, but still more work.
Yeah, that makes sense. Switching gears a little bit from your business and what you're doing right now, this is kind of just more advice for future aspiring entrepreneurs, right? What are your thoughts of, obviously you started a couple businesses in college. What are your thoughts for most college students that are interested in entrepreneurship? Should they start a business in college? Should they go and get some experience first and then start a business? What's your opinion?
So I don't disagree with going to college. I think that there's a lot of things to be learned in going to college, but going to college doesn't have to be a full-time gig. I worked full-time while I was in college, while I went to school and started companies on the side. So yes, it's a lot of time that you have to do. But so my advice on there would be, if you know you want to go into entrepreneurship or you want to try it, then you need to dabble there, right? And college is the perfect time to do it. You might not have a family depending on you yet. Your risk tolerance is super high. You have all the flexibility and freedom in the world. That's a perfect time to go start up a t-shirt company to learn the basics of e-commerce or marketing, or to start up a service-based business like a consulting group where you can learn more. So I absolutely recommend someone at least try their own or join a small startup in any capacity. Free work, internship, entry-level pay, whatever it might be.
Just for experience.
Get that experience. Yeah. A lot of internships I would advocate against going to intern at a large company unless you know that's what you want to do. But internships at small companies, you get a lot of experience in a lot of different things. You wear a lot of different hats, and you can learn from those. That firsthand experience will pay off better in entrepreneurship than it probably will anywhere else.
Yeah, I've worked with 3 young startups, just myself, not my own, but with other people, and it's been really cool to actually wear so many different hats, right? Learning some things with marketing, some things with sales, some things with tech. Like there's so many different things that you're doing, and you get full exposure to everything, which is awesome.
Yeah, our VP of engineering, his name's Tim Hecht. We recruited him from Henry Schein. He was an architect over one of their software platforms, and he's been with us just for a couple months. And one of the things he said is, "Man, I never realized how much goes into marketing a business." Right? He had only been exposed to the development side, and now he's seeing all the facets that it takes to run a business.
Yeah. Yep. It's not just one dimensional. There's a lot. Another question I had is, from your experiences, is there a life lesson that you would share with young entrepreneurs?
There are too many life lessons to discuss here. I think the biggest one would be, don't be afraid to take risks. But I would say educated and mitigated risks. I think a lot of people look at entrepreneurs as people who are, I don't know, let's say willing to take risks, or they might even not make the smartest decisions. But in reality, the entrepreneurs that I have worked with, they take very decisive risks, and they do a lot to mitigate their risks in that process. So if someone thinks that they want to go out and either succeed in entrepreneurship or in sports or many other facets of life, taking a few risks to get there is the way to do it. You don't see a lot of successful people that played it safe their whole life, and that's what put them there.
Yeah, great advice. So you've been working with RevRoad. Can you tell me what your experience with working with them has been like? Yeah,
so I joined RevRoad in July of this year, right after we had determined what we wanted to do and how to do it. We built our offline demos so that we could actually prove the market, built financial plans offline, all the algorithms we needed. Then RevRoad gave us the best offer to join them. And our experience has been great with them so far. We only use a couple of their services. We use their development and marketing services, which are the 2 things we needed to get us to launch. And they're super supportive. They foster a community of entrepreneurship, and those events can be helpful. You're also involved in an entrepreneur ecosystem where you get to see other companies succeed all the time and be involved with other founders. And it's a unique experience that you don't get everywhere. It's much better than going to isolate yourself in your own small office and trying to figure it all out on your own. You have people that you can turn to for help, people who are there rooting for your success and holding your hand through the process of getting to success.
Yeah, almost like a WeWork or just some place where you're just surrounded by tons of people that are doing cool things, right?
Yeah, so you take the WeWork or Kiln concept and then you times it by 2 because they're mutually vested in your success. You have people there that you can turn to for help and answers, right? WeWork might be a bustling community of other entrepreneurs. You might have to network yourself there. RevRoad fosters that networking for you and is there to teach you along the way, fill in the gaps of where you need in your business. And my personal opinion is that no entrepreneur has it all, right? No one knows everything about business. And so you need other people that can complement your weaknesses.
Yeah. I have some friends that have kind of been the lone wolf entrepreneur and started their companies and lived in their basement for 2 years, like working by themselves. And I can't imagine doing that. Like it's too much fun to include other people in the process, right?
Yep, it is.
Last question I have for you is, do you have a morning routine? And if so, what is it?
Yeah, so I would not consider myself a morning person. I know that a lot of successful people are morning people. They wake up really early. They do specific things in the morning. I'm a night owl, right? So I actually have an evening routine is the way that I go about it.
Well, I would love to hear that one too.
I get my best work done at night. And so at night is when I spend time on the business, not in the business, right? I'm in the business during the day, but at night I can spend time on the business. That's when I strategize for the things that we really need to do. So yes, it does involve sometimes, checking emails or reviewing our project management. But more than anything, it's about thinking about what's next for our business. And so I do spend time every single night thinking about the business, writing up notes on the business, setting very specific goals for the business. And that's what I do to clear my head before I go to bed.
That's awesome. That's great. Well, Spencer, thank you so much for coming on today. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you guys again for listening. I love you. Have a good one.